Hello.
Hello.
Hi again, Moni.
Hi.
Hi, Jinsu.
Just a reminder, I will be in and out because I actually have to go teach a class in between. So,
Well, here's the thing. The only one maybe being affected might be Tia. Jinsu usually just listens in. She then does the recordings and stuff. And the two people who had requested doing to do their business cards and stuff like that, one of them had an accident. She might pop in if she can, but she can't do the work. And the other one's daughter is visiting, so she's going to watch the recording. And then that's it. That's us, right? So,
Deanna, we
yeah.
just lost power. And so I'm on backup power right now,
Oh,
which is only going to
I'm
last a
about to
few
lose
minutes.
you.
Yeah. So I probably won't be in class, it looks like.
So basically, it's just Tia, which is kind of crazy, given that you haven't been able to come other times, and then today you're here. But I'm a bit torn. I'm happy to work on stuff and work on questions, but let me explain the situation without trying to not teach. The moment I finish today's class, I'm grabbing my bags and I'm leaving to the airport on an airplane. For 2 months, I'll be gone from town. Long story what I'll be doing. But I could use the time to get ready. So I'm torn because I'm like, oh my God, I'm basically gonna be teaching one person, which fine, I'll teach the one person, but I'm not sure that the whole anyway, so here's the basic question since it's basically Tia right now. Is there anything in particular that you do, or here comes Patricia, who got injured and who can't do the work. She said she'd pop in. Here you go. Hi, Patricia. I'm so sorry you got hurt.
Hi.
I
Yay.
see. Is that look at that. Look at your thumb. Oh my God. You certainly
Yeah.
can't use the keyboard with that. Oh, does it hurt? Oh my
It's
God.
I just can't touch it. So if I don't touch it, it generally doesn't throb.
Yeah. Oh,
To do what I can at home. Otherwise I'm kind of useless.
so sorry to hear that. Sounds very painful. Anyway, so what I was just saying is that basically Moni has no power, is about to pop out because she's on backup power. Jinsu doesn't do the work. She's been taking my classes so many times. She listens in and does the stuff.
Mhm.
You can't do the work. So that leaves me with Tia. So what I was asking Tia is there anything in particular that I can support your help? Because I know you're very experienced, Tia, and a lot of the stuff that we're covering might not be in particular of interest to you, that you're just wanting some specifics. And what I was telling everyone, Patricia, is that I basically have a few hours left before I need to leave on a trip and I can't delay my airport. And I am running late on getting ready, mainly on the attendance and grading and all the stuff I need to do to to close up a class. So I wouldn't mind not teaching the full class. In fact, I would prefer not teaching the full class. We can't do the business cards, the work that we're going to do. You're not here. Oh, and Kristen, who is the other one, interesting, her daughter is visiting. So she's not going to be here in the class. So that's why I'm kind of putting it on you, Tia. What did you sign up to this class wanting to learn in addition to everything that you do and know? And let's see if we can address some of that, because the two people who wanted business cards can't do them today. So I'm happy to pivot on that and maybe be a bit more specific. So or different. So what would you be interested in?
Well, I appreciate it, and definitely, I think the things that I have prepared to work on today, which are the seed packet labels, I'm
Yeah.
pretty comfortable with doing myself. But I did actually have two things come across my desk today that I had to quickly adjust and put together. And part of the reason I took this class is to kind of better be able to handle those, but to eventually transition to kind of be able to be, able to be a professional, graphic designer in some way, and this is kind of my first step.
Uh-huh.
Well, not quite my first step, but and so I think Illustrator, like getting a little bit more familiar with Illustrator, and I know you teach another course, and I think that there are other resources. So, but one thing did come up today that I am particularly interested
Which-
in, and we danced around it the last time, which is the Pathfinder situation. And I dropped this in the Padlet. I had to adjust.
Oh, I had checked the Padlet. Let me see. Sorry, maybe I didn't check it.
No worries.
I was teaching all morning, so if you did it today, but did you do it before?
I
I'm seeing there.
so
Okay, let me just share so we all know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, I missed that. Sorry.
no worries. Not
Um,
today.
okay. So I had to throw together this adjusted logo for t-shirts back today. I used Illustrator crop our logo down to the green circle. There, you mean?
Yeah.
Typically has text to the side and an image traced it. It was showing up grainy. Okay. I then create a separate circle path and use the type on a path tool to make the next one. Yeah, we just did stuff like this in Illustrator a little bit. And I just finished my Illustrator class half an hour ago. I then create a separate circle. I got really frustrated because I had to make that as transparent, but the little hand and leaf cutouts in the logo were remaining white. And when I tried to delete them, it just turned into a solid green circle. Okay, so you're talking compound paths, exactly stuff that we did today in Illustrator. Did a little Googling, tried a second option of the Pathfinder tool, it didn't work. I don't actually remember how I resolved it, but somehow it worked. Basically, the story of my Illustrator use. Got it. Okay, so yeah, and in fact, looking at it, there's a little bit of a whoops, there's
Was
a
it
bit of a jiggle there. Not much, but good. Yeah. So yeah, what you're talking about here is a compound path, and I can show you some of that definitely. And then I don't have the specs for the seed packet label. I downloaded 2x3 Avery template. Okay, Avery template for the labels. All right. And then after that, people were going to post other stuff about their information and not information about their business cards and stuff that they were going to build. And I didn't see that posted, so I didn't think, other than Moni, who did some work here, but the rest wasn't here. So this was the planner that you mentioned you were going to say. So I had seen that from the other day. So you had a parent show. This is for those of you who remember, InDesign has a parent page where you have things that repeat all the time. And that's what she did over here. Repeated that spread a number of times and then adjusted the basics as friends, and you're getting it printed. So that's wonderful. Let me see. Cool.
one little thing? Actually, it was a little complicated because my mom hand binds books, and she's going to hand bind it for me. But she works in like do you know what signatures are in a book? She
Yeah.
works in like 6-page signatures, and the printer didn't understand how to set that up, and neither did I.
Mm.
So I had
Well,
to.
here's the problem. The signature, I mean, yeah. Okay, so what she's talking about, let me just stop my share for a second. What she's talking about is, let me see if I can do it in small with a regular piece of paper. If I were to find a regular piece of paper, here's a piece of paper. So we're accustomed to printing things out of our own printer, right? 1 page or 2 or 3. But when you want to print things, let me see, I have so many little books. Do I have a binder? If you ever take apart a book, more like a manual. Hold on, I have some stuff here. Big people, pen. Shoot, I have. Of all things, I have some here that are good examples, but I'm looking for them. Okay, I don't have my sample at hand. It's in some box. I moved to the studio, but let me just show for a second what she's talking about. This is the cover of a book. Let me turn off the feature that makes everything blurred. So here is a picture of a hand bound book, right? And you guys see how these are sets of pages. And it's like a little bound piece and a bound piece. And when you open this one, there's many pages in each one of these little guys. You see that? Well, each one of these is actually one really big page folded in a way that then it gets cut and put in there. And that's the signatures that she's talking about. Okay. And a lot of the printing happens, and I don't know if they have, this is just a handmade paper, like it's not that, but so a lot of printing happens that way, where you design what you design in InDesign, and then you send it to the printer, and the printer isn't going to print 1-2 page, fold it and print. They're going to print these big signatures on big sheets of paper. Then they're going to fold them and trim them and staple them and do the whole binding thing. And so what she's saying is her mom's accustomed to doing that in order to then, and I was about to show you this, like with a piece of paper, but that was better. So the printers are going to set up the signature, not you. You design it and you send it to the printer and they set up signatures. But you need to send it to a printer who knows how to do that, which is usually the big professional printers who do big projects. Like regular any old printer won't know how to do that. And especially if they're doing digital printing machines versus the good old fashioned ones, right? Here's you like, yeah. So it's like asking the zebra to give you a pear. It's not going to happen. It's not how they work. They don't set up signatures. The signatures are not set up by the designer. They're set up by the printers, and they set them up based on their machines and how they're going to print. Continue with your story. Yes, Tia. So
Yeah, this is very validating. Because I work with like a locally owned printer. I make greeting cards too, and so I just sent it to them, and they had no idea. So that's validating because I was going to try to figure out in InDesign how to what pages to put on either side. Instead, what they said to do was basically bring a dummy like I used it out of notebook paper, just folded it and then numbered it. And then I brought that down to them and I said, here. And
so one thing that I normally do here is I always tell you guys, Moni, this time we didn't do that many projects, but I'm always like, make dummies, right? So if you have a trifold brochure, don't guess. Make yourself a dummy. Tell yourself, this is in, this is out. Oh, you can't see it again, but this is the front, this is the back. Turn it around, make it work. See if it works. Make it out of cardboard. Make the piece you're designing, and then see if it works, right? And there's no product I ever designed that I love. By the way, it's so fun for me to make these things, but I have some really elaborate ones I did a lot of packaging design in the past, and you have to do the flap. And if you you're like designing it and then you go, wait a minute, when you open it up, have you ever opened a box, like a cereal box or something? And on one side you have text looking this way, and then the flap, the text looks the other way, and then on the side it looks the other way. And you wouldn't be able to envision that. You have to make a box out of paper or cardboard, write the things in the way you want it to do, and then you unfold it, and then you go, oh, I didn't know this is how it was going to be, right? And then you design it that way, right? And so, yeah, signatures are a bit like that. They are kind of put in a way that doesn't look like a book at all until they print it and cut it and put it together, and it's like, oh, there's my book, right? So yeah, you wouldn't have been able to, if the printer company, right? The company, not your little machine, but the printers don't know what to do. It's because that's not the way their systems work. And thus, even if you had done it in InDesign, unless you go to another printer who does it, and then they'll go, no, leave that to me, because they set it up. You send them the well-designed file with your folds, and they create the signatures, right? And then they send you a proof and you make sure that everything's working. And then, so the job of making dummies, which is simple, is, you get it back, you test it, you cut it up, you make sure everything's looking good, and then you go, yeah, go ahead with it, right? Because things could have been messed up in the signature process and it didn't really work well or something, right? So yeah, so what did you end up doing, or what are you doing instead, or?
well, it's a little bit simpler how we set it up, and I sent them the dummy. They emailed me today and said that they can handle it. So that's kind of the status
Alright.
update. So I hope that it all works out.
So you set the InDesign up like that with facing pages and the design, you sent it to them and you showed me what you want, and they're gonna figure it out?
Yeah, and they had me because I had shared it in spreads. not pages. And so they had asked for me to change it to pages, which kind of surprised me because
One page has both sides,
no, just
individual pages.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that maybe that how they'll, yeah, okay. That's surprising, but hey, if that's what they need. We don't
So
know what they're gonna do, right? It can happen, so. Okay, but
Yeah.
there you go, guys. You never know. Something that looks simple. It's that relationship with the printer that matters so much. You spend so much time dealing with printers back and forth, and what do we do? And the more you have a relationship established, the more they're willing to push for something, right? Because you've given them work before and you will again. But yeah, you have to know what the specs are of the project, call them, find out, hey, this is what I think, is that what's going to work for you? Because you might be different than them and what your machine does it. And so don't like do a job and send it and it'll come back perfect. I mean, once you know them, like you have been doing cards with them for a while, if at this point you can probably design a card and send it and you'll think about it. But that's because you've done enough times that you know what not to do, how much to move this, because this is how it comes out when you do it that way, right? So establishing that relationship is one of the most valuable things you can do. So, great. Well, yeah, if they don't do signatures and they figured out that they're going to do it some way or another, then they'll figure it out, because I can assure you back there, someone else is going, shoot, we should figure out signatures, right? Because, we've been asked a few times and, let's see if we can do it, right? So they're trying to figure it out too. Because yeah, a lot of things professionally, when you're talking multiple pages, get done that way. I mean, any book, I'm looking at this little book right here, take any book apart and you'll see that they're in little blocks, like little sets, right? And there's like, here I see some sewing at the bottom of this. There we go, that's the little set. And then a new one starts, but in the middle of these, there's sewing, and in the middle of this next one, there's some sewing, you know what I mean? Not like typical paperback that it's all kind of glued to the bottom, but look at a book that's good quality. And see how over here, it's like little sets of pages all put in individual little groups, and usually it's 8 pages, but signatures can be set up in many different ways. And then they glue them together. So when you ever see a signature, let me see. See this, I love this. When I get to teach things outside of what I normally teach, it's usually comes from real questions, right? So this is great. So let me, signature printing, example or something like that. Let me see if there's anything. No, no.
This was
so that-
exactly my Googling journey, and it was not very helpful.
Signature layout or something like that, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Here is a little bit of that, but when I click on it, it's not going there. Anyway, here's an example. For some reason, when I click on it, it's gone. So producing your book. See how it's 8 pages. And but they don't show the big piece of paper here, but basically it ends up folded up. Have you ever bought a book where the leaves on top, were still stuck together, that you had to cut them open? Has that never happened to you? Oh, or a magazine, or you received it. So this is one really big piece of paper folded in all these ways. And then you have page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, it's all the folds. And then they just kind of cut that piece there. There should be one somewhere, the word signature. A 16-page signature folds and binds into a booklet. Okay. So when you think you make a little brochure or whatever, it's really one long piece of paper, right? And then this might end up being the back. This might be the center. This might be your second page. This might be your 8th page. This might be your 9th. I mean, it's completely, and then depending on how they cut it and fold it and cut, you end up with your little tiny 4-page booklet with instructions on how to, use this little thing that you just bought. I'm looking at book, this isn't a book, this is a full brochure, but, and so that's how it'll be printed, right? So anyway, that's the best example I can come up with here. Anything else? Oh, that's the wrong printer signature. let's move this out of the way. So, yeah, they don't have, okay, so here's a 12 page or a 16, anyway. So this is already cut though, but this is cut into an 8-page for cover and inside, but this was printed on one big piece of paper and it was folded and cut in a way to turn into that. So it's an 8-page signature, 12-page, or a 16-page signature. They're always in those sets. Sometimes you have a book that all you need is 21 pages. And it turns out that you can't because of the signatures, it's going to end up having to have, you know, either 16 or 32. And you're like, but I need that. So then you end up with all those blank paper in front and you add another cover and you put another little made by to just fill it out. Or you have to cut some pages because you're stuck into that position in that shape. Does that make sense? The rest is all signatures. Okay, here we go. Here's a layout. Here's the layout of a 16-page signature. This says 1, 4, 13, whatever. On the back side of the same piece of paper, probably it says the other. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The other side of this piece of paper has the other 8 numbers. And so probably behind number 1, you might have number 2, right? Printed on the back side of this. And it's a 2-sided print. And when it gets cut and folded, it turns into this little booklet. There we go. Perfect. This is it. This is the one I was looking for. Okay. It's one long piece of paper and they just, but this is not set up by you. You wouldn't even know. We wouldn't even know. It's software, right? That depending on what printer they use, what size of paper they're printing. So this will end up being maybe an 8.5 by 11 booklet, right? Or a 4 by 5 booklet, whatever. So then if this is say this is a 4 by 5 booklet, then this is going to be 10 inches piece of paper. And this will be 4 times 4, 16. So this will be a 10 by 16 piece of paper. And not even, because usually they'll put in a roll of paper and then trim off of it. But say that they're using a 10 by 16 piece of paper, and then they'll fold it up. Once they cut, they'll cut that sheet, and then they'll fold it into the right folds, and it's machines that do it. And then they'll cut in between, as you saw in another one, to loosen the pages. But yeah, I've bought books. I don't know if it's more handmade books or whatever, but it's not handmade books. You buy books sometimes and then you see that 2 pages are still glued, that the machine didn't trim correctly. And I'm gonna download this little image. See
Yeah,
if I
this
can-
would have been helpful. Yeah, it's
Oh, there you go. Here, I'll send you, it's too late now maybe, but I'll send you, I can't send it down, I don't have your email on this computer. Anyway, so yeah, so I got a book binding signatures, print signature layout. Something came out with that. Most of it is signatures, but there you go. All right, well, cool. Everyone has learned something out of that. So thanks for that question. And by now, I guess you resolved it in whatever way they're going to resolve it. So yeah. And then your mom will do the binding when she gets does she need the whole signature and then she does the cuts?
no, she doesn't. She wanted just the pages. And so that was part of it. And so she does the sewing. She doesn't use glue. So she
Yeah. So just-
sew it together.
Great. Well, that's going to look wonderful. And I'd love it if once you have it, if you were to post it in the Padlet so we can see it. Even if class is over, the Padlet, by the way, will be live until the next time I teach this class, which won't be till like July, or late June, late July, late June, early July. I don't have the schedules right now in my head. But by the way, registration for summer classes starts next week on Wednesday, the 23rd. So between here and leaving, I need to finish sending the email out with the list of my classes, and then I'll send it out to students so they know what classes I'll be teaching and when I'll be teaching them. Okay. But yeah, do you want to go a little bit over those compound shapes in Illustrator then to see some of that? So here we go. Let me open up Illustrator.
If it's not too much, if you are overwhelmed, if you have a lot of stuff to do.
Well, let's do a bit of this. And then I don't want to not teach the class. I would mind making it shorter. I wouldn't mind making it shorter. And this is perfect because we're doing things that are actually useful. It's actually stuff that I could have or would have taught. I probably wouldn't have talked. I've only talked a few times about signatures. Again, if it becomes something that someone needs because it's beyond the regular person's need. But that's why you're in this class, and that's why you have my brain, right? Because you can ask me. I always say my best examples always come from real life, right? And this is what I mean, is when people really get to learn something new. So this is the last thing that we just did in Illustrator. So let me close it up. But in fact, I was showing some signature work. So let's go ahead and open Illustrator and make a new file. I have a custom 5x5x4 that I've been using for the class. So I'm just gonna do that for a second here. I'm noticing that I didn't set up my other Zoom because there's only a few of us. Are you seeing my share? It's all good? Okay. So, and Patricia, you can't do anything, right? You're just watching this part or you're trying? Okay, just watching. All right. So let's go ahead and make a, let's just make a circle. Let's make an ellipse. And to make it be a perfect circle, maybe you know or not, but you hold down the shift key and you get a perfect circle. Let me go up to this one page. Let me know when you're set. You're ready? You have an Illustrator open? Ready to go? Okay. So let me give it a color because it's hard to see it when, when it's against white. So here we have a circle, right? And if I want another shape to knock out of it, so let me say that I want to make a star. Make a star now, right? So in your case, you had these hands or whatever. So say that I make a star now. And I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to color it differently. It doesn't need to be colored differently, but just for us to see this, right? I've got two shapes, a star and a circle. I'm going to put these two, one on top of the other. So in your case, that would be the, let me first ask. Hold on, let me share. This. Do you have an art piece for this, or you managed to somehow in the tracing you managed? Let me show you what the tip is, but then I'll say, let me show you the compound path, and then, well, maybe you can email me the file or upload the file that you had to start with into the Padlet. But let me just first teach you how to make a compound shape, and then we'll see what we can do with it. So here's two shapes, right? One would be your basic circle, and one would be, and let me look, we would have a green circle would be one, and then the other shape would be, and then you have a black background, but this would be the one that you would need to do. Right now I'm using a star, but imagine that this is what it is for now, and then we can make it more complicated like this one. But basically yours is an example of like 3 stars, right? Something like that. Let's do it with 1 star first. You have 2 shapes. You select both shapes, right? So if it has to have 2 shapes. So either you click down here and drag over to select 2 shapes, or you select one, hold the shift and select the other. Both have to be selected. Then there's a tool here, and depending on what workspace are you in, let's go to your workspaces. Are you in Essentials and Classics? What are you? Because your tools will be different. What?
I'm in Getting Started.
Okay, let's head over to Getting Started then. I want to have the same tools you have to show you this. So you select these both, and then does the Getting Started have it? Yeah, I believe this is it. So right under the little word modify, there's a thing called a shape builder.
Uh-huh.
Click on that. Okay, I'll show you all the ins and outs of how this works, but just quickly to knock this star out of the head, hold down your Mac or on a PC.
I'm a Mac.
Okay, so hold down your Option key. See how the tool turns into a minus?
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then I'm going to go drag a little line across the star, and boom, I have knocked this out. Now it is actually a hole. See?
Okay. Wow.
Now, if underneath that I had black background like you had there, let me put in a black background.
Well, actually, that's transparent. I just said a screenshot of the PNG, but and I and which I know is raster, and I don't know if that was right, but I also exported as an SVG because I looked up those were the only ones that it could handle a transparent background.
PNG.
And even though
What's the
that's
goal?
raster,
SVG is only for web. What are you gonna put this on?
oh, a t-shirt.
No, you can't. You have to do a PNG.
Okay. So you
Doing
just
it.
have to hope that it's big enough to not be blurry.
A PN, yeah, but it all depends on, okay. What's the original art? What did you get that you had to do this on?
I mean, the circle is from our logo, which is, let me see.
Do you have it in vector mode, or do you have it in,
Well,
do
you
you
know,
have it in,
have it in a PNG. I just used that.
okay, and you
I
have
have
a
it in
PNG.
multiple things. I think I was just going really fast today and wasn't really paying attention.
Well, here's the thing. If you have a PNG, I mean, whoever created that logo, you guys should have different resolution qualities of that logo, right? So you start with the biggest one where the logo is already big enough size to be good. So you can't, well, there is a tool now in Photoshop where you can actually super resolution it, but whatever size you have, do you know how to check for resolution on the PNG and see? Because if it's grainy, it wasn't high res. How big is this logo going to be on the t-shirt?
Like, I'm gonna guess like 5 inches
5
across.
inches. Okay. So, you know what? Do you have it there? Can you open the file and I'll have you share your screen? I'll show you how to check. Because maybe the SVG, if you made an SVG, that means you vectored, you made it into a vector file, you traced it, so it might still work.
Yeah, I think I did it in a really complicated way.
Did the people who are printing it tell you that they can handle an SVG?
No, I just had no idea what to do. So I gave them an SVG, a PNG, and an AI
All
version
right.
of all of this.
Okay, well, the AI, they can use the PNG if they use that one and it's not up to resolution, it'll be kind of fuzzy, the letters won't be good. So can you show me the original? Can you show me the PNG and I'll tell you whether it's gonna work or not.
Getting on. I'm joining
Okay,
my other.
you go. You're coming in.
Okay, let me make sure. Okay, good. Wanted to make sure I wasn't gonna echo or something. Okay, I'm just gonna share my whole screen.
Okay.
Okay. Let me get out
Right.
of everything. Okay, so I just grabbed the one from my desktop, which is this one.
Okay, just open it up and open it, what, in Photoshop? What are you opening it? See, preview, yeah, the preview up won't work already. I see it's very grainy. So do you use Photoshop? Can you open it in Photoshop? So this is so perfect, by the way, guys, because this is when you see how you really need to use different apps to get something done and to figure it out. So here it is. Okay. It's already on transparent. Can you go up? Let me get my annotation tool so I can point you to what you need to go. Go over here to image, and then go to image size.
Ah.
Okay. So now that's good news. It's at 300 PPI. So, and it's a 6:3, which is kind of good news, except for not really, because go ahead and cancel for a minute. 300 DPI means that that's the size. The 6 is this, right? By 3. So really, this is what, 2 1/4, 2 3/4. If this is 3, then this is probably 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. You know what I mean? If this here to here is 3, then this is probably 275, I would say, or even a bit less, right? The 6 is all that, which you don't need. So that's the place where that quality will be good. Now you're at 66%, which doesn't let me see if it's in good quality. Can you hit Command 1 to go to 100%? Okay. So now with at 100%, the lines seem really clean. Whoops, cancel. Hold on, that was me doing something weird. I'm trying to get rid of my pink lines. There we go. So, I can't really tell if the lines are clean, and I'm just saying that because I have that background that doesn't let me see well. So can you put in a new layer? Go over here and create a new layer.
Oops, sorry.
Oh, it's okay, down there. Yeah, new layer. And then can you go ahead and do a Command A to select all, A.
Okay.
And then do a fill, go to edit fill and fill it with white. Yeah, go edit fill. And then just don't do kind of, go to here, it says kind of where, and fill it with white. Or black, whichever. Okay, and now drag this layer under that one. So that I can see those edges better. Okay, now can you zoom in a little bit more? Like do, yeah, which, 175. Yeah, so those lines are relatively clean and crisp. That's good. In fact, you don't, in yours, you have like a little kink here in the hand on one of them, which isn't here. So that's partly, okay. So now this was, someone created this in vector clearly, and you don't have the vector file, which is a pity because
Well, I
definitely,
do, it's just like on the drive. It's just not the one I go to, which actually now I'm learning is probably not good.
okay. Well, this is pixel based, so it's going to work if you're going to print something that's going to be smaller than or the same as, 3 inches, well, a bit less than 3 inches, 2 inches and below. But once you start printing this at anything bigger than that size, the resolution is going to start breaking up, right? So if you need this to be printed for a big poster or a sticker or something like that, you're going to have to go and find the source and get the original vector file. But that said, if what you did is trace this in Illustrator to get to the thing that you got, that's a workaround. You probably did way more work than necessary, but it's not a bad workaround. But since I do want to teach the trace feature, let's walk you through that. Can you send me, even if it's a screenshot of this, put it in Padlet, or if you can upload that into Padlet, that way others, they want to. Guys, this is a protected logo. This is a company's logo. Don't use it. If any of you are doing this, don't use it for anything other than for this class, okay? If most people, no one's doing the work other than you right now in this class, so that's okay. But if they were to see it there, yeah, put it in the Padlet.
Okay. Writing it down. Yes, it's oh, it turns up as all green. Well,
What do you mean it turns up? Just send me that. Just
Oh no,
upload
it's on
the file.
it's Padlet.
It's in Padlet. Okay. I wanted to share, by the way, see what I meant about there's like a little weird, like a little kink here
Yeah.
in the hand.
Okay.
That you can clean up a bit. And then over here, which it's not able to see, there's a little kink over here and then here. There's one. So it's not, perfect, but it's not, I mean, it's still fine. And no one who's getting this teacher is going to care, to say the truth. They're not going to look at it the way, but as a person who's teaching you how to do this, I want you to keep an eye on those things, but no one's going to go, oh, the logo's not perfect. But anyway, so here's the file. And it's, what file was it what kind of a file is it?
This is a PNG.
Okay, and you uploaded the file, not a screenshot, right?
Right.
Because normally when it's a file, it comes in file mode. This isn't. Let me see if I can. Huh. Well, let me try to download it from here just by doing a save image to downloads, and let me see if it's giving me a workable PNG.
It looks like
No, it's not. You dragged the file in.
okay. Let me see what I did wrong.
It's not giving me. Let me see, I'm opening it up. Let me
Okay.
see, I'm opening it up. Are you seeing am I sharing my Photoshop?
No.
Okay, I'm opening it up in my Photoshop and let me look at the resolution to see if what I have is the same thing that you're showing me. And image size. See, no, I have only the screen version, the 72 ppi. Well,
I just uploaded it again. I dragged it in to see
actually
it.
it is 300 by 6. It is. It's okay. I do have it, but let me just check again. No, it seems like it worked, but let me just check and see. Ah, am I sharing too many windows? Stop my share. I'm sharing like so many windows. Let me just open only Padlet and Photoshop. Take two. It's fine. The first one worked. It's weird. Normally when you put in an Adobe Illustrator or a PDF or a PSD, it gives you a little tab here and you download the file itself. In your case, it downloaded like a web page and then I had to convert it. But never mind. I opened Photoshop and I've got the same thing that you have now. So this portion of it is what we want to use, right? So I'm
Mhm.
going to go ahead and I'm going to trim this. I'm just going to keep only this bit. I'm going to just select this little portion there. And I'm going to just say crop the other one. Okay. And does it have the perfect, does it finish at the top or is it touching the edge? Is that how it is? Yeah, let me just go back and say Command A. And I'm going to just select only that portion. Okay, that's just because I want to be able to save. I'm going to save this as. So I'm just keeping that piece. And I'm going to save it as, see, it came in as a web page, which is weird. I'm going to save it as, let me just save it as a Photoshop file for now. Image, I'm going to call that hands, hands circle logo. And I'm going to save it there for a minute. Okay. So basically, this that just happened there for Patricia, for Jinsu, if you're watching, Harmony, this is typical. You have a client and they have stuff and they don't know what they have or not, and you have to deal with it, right? So this is perfect example. Now this is loose, but it's raster, right? If I go up, there's no straight lines here. See, that looks from afar like a straight line, but this is not a straight line. This is pixels. And so you can't get it to be sharp and crisp as if this truly was pixels. So what Tia did, which is a good workaround solution. By the way, let me just say, why didn't you just use Photoshop to make it in and export? If you're going to be doing a PNG, why did you have to take it into Illustrator? Oh, you had to do the circle around it? You
I
had to
didn't the full way through, but my intention was to make this a vector so that
so that then you
it
can.
didn't matter what size it would be. But I didn't think what a glaring issue of like, okay, but then I didn't realize that then that you can only do
Well, you traced it, which is fine. You recreated it. My question is, if you're working for them, the company, they must have this in vector somewhere, like not have to recreate it because it slowly distorts. Maybe not. They don't.
No, they do. I don't know. I was moving really fast.
No,
I
fine.
I was well originally I was just doing this as a mock-up. I wasn't thinking I was going to be doing like the end thing.
And they liked it and off it went to the printer or something like that. No,
Yeah.
here's the thing, it's fine. What you did is a good solution, and I'm gonna work it through to show you how to refine it so you don't get those kinks in that image trace. But what I'm saying is, if you're gonna keep working with that logo a lot, see if you can find the original, because this is not original. This is these lines. This is originally a vector, so it must be there somewhere. Only because now we are taking something that was turned into raster, then we're vectorizing it. So in one way or another, we're going to be slowly changing it. And over time, a little shift here, a little shift there, that little kink stays. Another time it gets used again, another kink, you know what I mean? at some point go back to the source, but that's fine. Here we have Illustrator. Is Illustrator being shared? Let me share Illustrator now. Let me add Illustrator to the picture. Here we go. So now why is my Illustrator having issues with the share? Let me stop. Illustrator is not wanting to be part of the share. It's giving me complaining. Let me move this out for a second.
So if
Let-
I were to have done this correctly, I would have, I still would have wanted, I would have taken whatever the vector file was for the logo,
Mhm.
which would have been an Illustrator, a JPEG,
Yeah, no, in Illustrator.
just
It would be
Illustrator.
Illustrator, or maybe you have an SVG, I don't know, but basically Illustrator is vector file, EPS, if it was made a long time ago. Logos that have been around for a while, they were in EPS format. That's the original vector format.
We do have it in EPS. I'm checking now. Yeah, that still works.
Okay, so EPS, you can open up an Illustrator and there's your vector. But that said, since I'm trying to go back to what you brought up originally, let me just share. Let me see if Illustrator is sharing itself right now. No, why is Illustrator doing that? What if I share only Illustrator then? Wow, it's just not. Can you see Illustrator? Okay, it's just not wanting to share space. Well, let me go and file place that logo, which I believe I saved in the digital here, hand circle logo. So this is, I'm going to just simply click to have it come in at this biggest size as I can, and see how it's already transparent. So since it's already transparent and it's clean, because I saved it out as a PSD right now, I'm not really sure, based on your example, why you had to trace it. Maybe you hadn't brought it in this way?
I just placed it into Illustrator,
I just did that. I just placed it into.
but not from Photoshop, just a PNG into Illustrator.
Okay, so let me see if I go and if I place the original file that you sent, and what was it called? Something web page. I think it's in my downloads folder, that one.
Might be.
And I paste this one in. And yeah, see how it's coming in all kind of goofy and.
Oh, well, see, now that is also.
But it did come in transparent. But see how the edges aren't clean?
Yeah, well, maybe that. Well, maybe when I image traced it, I did something. And then it.
The thing is that I thought you had to image trace it because all you had was like a piece of paper you scanned, like you had to separate the green from the black, but you do have it.
Well, so I think I cropped it. When I cropped it, I then image traced it. I deleted the white around it because whenever I image traced it, it generated a background basically. And the background white was,
So let me just show everyone for a second, on the files that I sent you guys. Patricia, are you still even watching, just to make sure? I know that you're not doing it, but are you there? Because otherwise Moni knows this. Jinsu, anyone there? Okay, so I believe I think I had, I don't have a photo here. Illustrator, where did I put? Oh, it's in here. Let's say this apple. I'm going to place this apple. Well, let me actually not place it that way. Let's place it again and make it smaller. I'm going to make it this big, right? This one came in with a white background. See? So even if you image trace it from here, and again, if anyone's listening, I'm going to turn this into a illustration. It's a photo. That's what image trace is all about. And you can go ahead and go up to go to window and open the image trace tools. Right? And then you can trace this image. It's basically Illustrator is going to look at it and make an illustration out of it, vectorize it. My concern is that you didn't need to, and I'm thinking, but I don't know exactly
Yeah,
what
I think that
you started with. But anyway, so here's the example you're giving me. It's stuck to white, right? And so we're gonna give it a high quality. So I'm gonna go over here to the presets and choose the high fidelity photo, for example, to make it be high quality, which is if you had, you could have easily made it a white, black and white logo and then painted it with the right color, right? And it would have been cleaner. But say that in this case, I'm gonna do for high fidelity photo.
think I did like 3 colors. I don't know. I've never know the difference between the image trace. I just try them out in preview and see how it.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, in the Illustrator class, I spend quite a bit of time talking about it. But I don't so much in digital design techniques. So this here, right now, if I open the advanced tab, I can tell it to ignore the white. Huh, why isn't it letting me? It's interesting. Why would it let me ignore the white? I guess because it's not completely white, it's gray. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So if you go to 3 colors or you go to whatever else, you did 3 colors? Is that what you did? Which,
Yeah, and I did, again, this is all me just messing around with stuff, so sorry. And yeah,
okay.
and I think that I made the outlines and the image, like how it's, like, so if you do 3 colors, if you click that, and then,
I need to stop the preview because it does it each time when you have a preview on. Hold on.
and then instead of just the tracing result, instead of just the tracing result, it was the, like, tracing result and outlines or something like that.
All right, so here's the thing. Right here, because now this has been turned into one big box of white, now I can ignore the color, right? And it tells me what color to ignore. I forgot to turn off the preview. I'm sorry, I hit stop. I need to turn off the preview or it won't let me do stuff until it finally does it. So now I'm gonna tell it to ignore the white, right? So that the white isn't part of the whole thing. The part that I don't know, okay, so before I turn on preview for it to happen, what did you say that you told it to give you what? The last thing you said.
That's a view tracing result, and then there's a drop-down menu there. Is there some reason you need other stuff included in that? I did tracing result with outlines. I didn't know. I don't know.
No, I
Oh.
never used that one. I just use this one, but let me see what the difference would be because I have not necessarily needed that. So let me see what the difference would be to what I normally do.
Oh, okay.
It's just showing you the outlines that you'll see later. So it doesn't matter. It's the same. The tracing result just gives you what it looks like. And then when you expand it, right? So I'm going to expand it right now.
Uh-huh.
Then
Okay.
I see the outlines, right? Because now it's expanded and now that's the shape. And I told it to ignore the color. So now this is all I have. See there? It's not, it didn't bring the white in. But yeah, so all the only difference is that before you expanded, you could see these outlines.
Mhm.
Versus I couldn't, so that was the tracing with outlines. Now, all of that, which is great, seems unnecessary because if you have the same file that you sent me,
Huh.
this
It just looks blurry. I don't.
but let me explain what's happening. In see if I zoom in and in and you see it really huge. Ultimately, it came from a raster file, right? So it's gonna show you those edges, right? So if you want to, so I'm gonna trace it right now. I'm gonna leave that one there. I'm gonna make a copy. I'm gonna look over here. So I'm gonna put that one there to keep, and this one we're going to now trace. Okay. So let me see if I choose silhouette might be the cleanest line. Let's try that.
Got it. Okay.
Don't have any white here. There is no white that was transparent already, but if not, I would have said ignore white. If yours came in with white. And that's it. So now when I expand, now when I zoom into this,
Yeah.
this is now a vector file and it's perfect lines, but it's got a few kinks. I already saw 2 because it's just a tree. I saw 1. Where was it? Up here. I didn't like see that tip is a little bit weird and
Yeah.
that tip is a bit weird.
Yeah.
Seen 1 more in 1 portion. Okay, so what you can do, and I'm going to undo this, Command Z to undo the trace. So now's when you can start choosing. In the advanced, you wouldn't have seen that here. In the advanced, you can choose paths, corners, noise to make it be more exact or not to the shape. So if you want less paths, right? So I'm exaggerating, less paths and less corners, for example, right? And then let me say snap curves to lines. So then it might make the curves a bit more roundish. Let me see, which might be worse or better. Let me see the original one. I'll put the original next to my expanded version. So here's the original one. Here's my now vector file. Let me zoom into it. Those leaves, these have tips. This one has round. The hands don't have any weird kinks on it, but most of these are supposed to be tippy. That one's round, and this again is a little bit round, and this one has like a straighter line than the curve. I mean, you can fix it in Illustrator, but this is what I mean about each time you do this, you're kind of bastardizing the original. But anyway, so that's one example. Let me go back out. So I'm going to leave that one as an example. That one we said less pathless corners. Usually you get less kinks when you have less paths. If the design is simple, which is this one. Let me get another copy now. Let me back to Illustrator. I'm sorry. You don't see it, but I went back into Photoshop. I'm going to do this again. So here's another one. That's always the original. This is the one that we did less path. This one, I'm going to tell it to give me more paths with more corners, less curves. So now I'm exaggerating.
Got it.
I'm going to keep it in silhouette. I think is the best one for this, but you can try others. When I go to silhouette, I'm going to give it high paths, high corners. So it's a more complicated design, but now I'm going to see whether I snap the curves to lines or I don't. I'm not sure if I prefer that or not. So I'm going to zoom in before I expand it this time. And
Oh, wow.
see the difference there?
Yeah.
It's just funky. And all I've done is ask it for more paths. So it, instead of giving me one smooth line, it's giving me ticky, right? It's giving me just like jumpy stuff versus if I go down on paths, how the line's straightened out. But then I have that little chunk happening. So then if I say no corners, then it turned it into a curve. But maybe it curved it too much because I do want some things to still be sharp. So then you start moving things around and you begin to see, there you go. Now all the little tips are tippy. So the corners aren't being killed. This finger's a little bit weird. How about, look, see how all the tips of my leaves now are nice and sharp? So you play around with these settings and you look at it and you inspect it until, see, there's nothing weird on the circle, nothing weird on this. So we're just really, you need to zoom in to see that because from afar, it all looks fine, you know? But so the biggest difference then at this point is, so let me, for example, look at this little group here and let me snap curves to lines and let's see what it does. Okay, no big change there. Turn it off. Okay, no big change, that one. How about
Is there
more?
anything with the threshold thing? I've
Yeah.
again self-taught.
Yeah, the threshold is how much more or less. Now, in this image, the threshold won't make much difference. But it will, because basically, you know how when you go into this, hold on, let me, I zoomed in and I wasn't on that one. When you zoom up into this, it's not white and green. There's, let me just move in. I moved in a lot more now. There's less green and more green and light green and dark green. You see that?
Mhm.
Creating this edge. So the threshold is telling it at what point do I turn, what color of green do I turn it white and what color of green do I turn it black? Like on the other side where we're making it be. So it's going to go, okay, the pure green's going to be black, the pure white's going to be white. And these tones midway through, that half will turn black, this half will turn white. If I say, on the other hand, no, I have a very high threshold, then I want everything to turn one color. If I have a very low threshold, everything on the other side. You choose where in that gradient it's going to decide to cut and go for one side or the other. That's why I ended up having those jags, because at some point it went, well, these will go there and these will go here. And so if we head over here where I was playing around with stuff, if I have a very low threshold, let me go a bit out a bit more so we see a few more things. Okay, so now if I had, let me a bit higher. I have the wrong thing selected, so it's going into that one. So if I have this one here, I think I'm on the right one, right? Yeah, it's not expanded yet. Yeah, it's not expanded yet. So if I tell it very low threshold, you're basically saying, make everything white. If I have it a very high threshold, you're saying make everything black. If you are telling it where in the middle, it's kind of choosing somewhere in the middle. It's going to look at the lines and say, well, I drew the line at middle gray, and that's half of that is going to be white because I chose the silhouette, right? So it's going to make it two colors. If you were in color or in three colors, it would have a line between, this makes it dark red, this middle red, this high red, right? So now if I start bringing it down, see, look, stare for a second just at the shape. Let me just move it a bit bigger. Just look at the shape. Let me move it over. So there's, and as I move the threshold, this will change size. It'll either expand or reduce. So watch from there. Well, I went too far. From there, see how I have some kinks in there?
Yeah.
To there. See how it changed
Oh, yeah.
a tiny bit? To there. Each time it changes a little bit because it's rereading that line and deciding where to put it. So what threshold you choose, how many paths you put into it, what corners you do. This one has no noise, so the noise doesn't make much difference. But if you were to tell it to ignore noise or not, when you have a very grainy image, that would also suddenly shift. This one, there's no noise, it's just black, it's one color or another. So moving these really matter. You choose some general thing and then you move things around. Now I chose silhouette because it's supposed to end up being only two colors. Right? So it gave me only two. Had I chosen something that's going to be grayscale or something, it might be harder originally. It's choosing, well, I'm going to make, what my boundary is. So maybe over here, I'd get one or another, so anyway, I'm going to go back to telling you what you choose to start with matters, but ultimately, if you just sit with that, that's not good enough. You need to then come in and play around with the choices. And in your case, you have very curvy things. I think the least paths, the better. And then depending on what we did is more corners gives you more rounded shape, less corners, sorry, gives you more rounded or weird shapes. Too many corners makes all the little tips are going to be rounded. So you just play around until you find that you have enough, your corners are tippy enough. In this case, see how everything got tippy?
Yeah.
And you have no kinks. So you do that back and forth until you find the best one. Once you have the best one and we're ignoring white, then you say expand. And there you go. This one is much better than that one because this one had a lot of little like rounded tips, right?
Yeah.
And it was basically just paying attention to all these different things that you're doing over there. So that's great. That's how you expanded and got a good vector. And then now it doesn't matter if you on the screen, if you make it bigger or smaller, it's from now on, it's perfect. You can make it be the size you need it, right?
Yeah.
But then when you go and send it out, so this is a 5x5 art board.
Mhm.
So basically this is now like 4.5 by 4.5, just the circle. And it doesn't matter anymore what it is because as long as I did clean lines on the initial trace. Now, the ones that we didn't get clean, you
Mhm.
could still go in and manipulate the paths to make it straight, but it's never as good as getting it as good as you can from the beginning. But then the ones that you do have where, let me trace this one more time and get, make it have more paths or weird things. And then let's say trace. Expand. Now that it's expanded, right? Now
Mhm.
I can go look. So here I have a bit of a weird little leaf right there. Then I can grab my tools, and if you're comfy with Illustrator, you could grab that and begin to modify it so that you can get it to be straight again, and you can make this be sharp again instead of not sharp. So you can keep, modifying things all along. But the whole point is, why have to do that work if I could have gotten it from the beginning. So it's not the end all, but it's then the finger isn't kind of weird and anyway, I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep that bad shape. I'll load this one for you if you want, but basically, yeah, the image trace process ins and outs really makes a difference what choices you make and how you. So this same apple that I traced, and I could have gotten so many different results based on how my choices. I just went high fidelity, and no, this one in the end is just a 3-color one. But I said three color one, and notice that the 3-color white was one of the colors. Then when I said, so I ended up with a 2-color apple, right? Because out of the 3 colors, the background turned white, and then I told it not to give it to me. So you might want to do 4 colors if you wanted a 3-color apple, if white's going to be part of it, right? Anyway, so there you go. And then beyond that, though, I'm still intrigued by why you had to do it, since this one wouldn't have given you the sharp lines that this one is, but I don't
Yeah.
know why you had white. I really still don't understand that. But anyway, here you saw the process of knocking something out. So, but it's not the answer that you needed. The answer that you needed was how to trace it correctly the first time. But what I initially thought is that you had a flat white piece of kind of paper stuck to that. And then from there, you had
Yeah.
to knock it out against some other color, which is why I showed you this process. But yeah, there you go.
Not-
Let me,
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I don't know what I did, and this is really useful because this is kind of just again how I've been navigating Illustrator, just kind of guessing and putting things.
well, go ahead and if you can, if the schedule works for you, sign up to my Illustrator class.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save this file here. Here's a nice little trace of your logo. I'm
Oh.
going to exchange a nice trace of your logo for the rest of the time of the class.
Okay.
I'm gonna save this.
Can
and
I
then
actually ask one
post
more
it.
question? Can I actually ask one more question?
Yeah. Mhm.
Because this is actually in real time. Our designer didn't give us something to bleed. It's a trifold brochure to bleed. And I tried to go in on the InDesign. I downloaded the fonts, I downloaded the links, I opened it in InDesign, and I tried to, and I set the bleed.
Go ahead and share your screen and see if I can give you a hand with that.
And yeah, and hopefully this is fast so I can let you go.
Fine. No, it's fine. So here I am posting it. I guess I can email it to you, but I think I can just post it here and you tell me if it dropped and if you can see it. Not for Tia. It's an AI file. See that I just posted right there. Oh, I'm not sharing. But just so you know, look for a second before you share your screen. Here, that's the AI file. If you
Okay.
click on that, you'll download it. And that's the green one is your original one. On the other side, I have the black and white one, which is the trace. I left it black and white so you'd be able to distinguish. I'll go ahead and download it and see if it works. But yeah, now share your screen. See if I can help you with that.
Thank you so much. And yeah.
Welcome.
Also, I caught up, and hopefully that's clear in Padlet that I was able to catch up in general. Okay. Okay. So what I got from the designer, let me see. I think I just put it in my downloads again. I maybe was going too fast. Was well, it was this. Update modified list.
It's got links. Do you have those links? Did she just give you an InDesign? Can't give someone an InDesign without the links to it.
Yeah, she packaged the links I downloaded.
Okay, so you don't, okay. Because right now, this here, let me just say, go up again. So I see, go to where you were for a second. This is because you don't have the font. And so that pink background, it's not just you made a pink background, it's you being told you don't have the font that she used there. Anyway, once you upload the right font, that'll turn black and white. But for some reason, it's a font that isn't used anywhere else. So you need to figure out why, or change it to the same font that this is in. If this is supposed to be either that or you need to have a give you that font. Anyway, sorry. Okay, keep showing me.
Well,
She used that color there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is a box with that color that you have to put the pricing. It's possible. It's just that you'll see when you don't have a font, this is exactly what Illustrator does. It gives you a pink background to tell you don't have the font. So maybe I'm wrong.
it looks
but I
like
see that color.
she put it as the background.
Okay, got it then. So I see that. Sorry, it's exactly the same color. I'll show you in another file what I mean. All right, go back to your question.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
what she
So-
sent.
Yes, and then I sent the PDF version of this that she also sent in the packaged InDesign, like, you
Yeah.
know, I kind of learned how to package things.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So you sent that PDF to the printer and they get, hey, you don't have the bleed with me, right?
Right, and specifically this bleed, they were concerned about. They were like, we can fudge this one enough. And so I was like, okay, I feel empowered, I can do this. And so I went
First of
to,
all, you need to go and add bleed to the document. Yeah, go to file, not to
And
file. Go to edit.
oh, okay,
No, or layout then. Go to layout.
just layout. That's what I did. I don't know, is that wrong?
Yeah, go to layout for a second. Margins and columns. Let me see if they do bleed there. Adjust layout. No, because it didn't have bleed to start with. So say cancel. Because you can adjust what's there, but if it didn't have it, then go back to file. And I think at the bottom, there's like a page setup, document setup.
Documents. Okay, I tried this too.
Yeah. Here's where you put the bleed in.
Well, this was the issue, is that, see how it's in P? I was like, I adjusted, this is exactly what I did. I adjusted this to this. I made it 1, because it looked,
Well, you can't just guess. Go ahead and say cancel.
oh,
Go ahead and make a new file for a second, and let's see in Pika's. Go to file new. Document, yeah. And then over here, transfer this Pika's to inches. Okay. And then go down to the bleed. Go down a bit more to bleed. Yeah. And 0.125. Okay, so it's set at 1.25. Okay, so go back and put it in Pika's again. I just want to make sure that it was it. And now drag down. And that's it. It's 0p9 in
Okay.
Pika's to get the 0.125, which is the traditional bleed. I just needed to do that translation. Now close it for a minute and let me say that you don't actually need to have this whole thing designed in Pika's. You can go to your ruler here, right click on the ruler and choose inches. Good. So now when you go to page setup, it should, I mean, maybe it's still, go to the document setup.
Documents.
And no, it still has, okay, so do this. Click in here with your, no, it's okay. Click in here with your mouse. Now we know it's 0.9, but delete that for a second. I want to show you a trick. Delete that. Delete, all of it. 3 deletes. And now put 0.125 and then write IN.
Oh my gosh.
And now say tab or go to the next one.
Ah,
No,
I
no,
just-
no. If you say okay, it goes. So go back. And it worked. See how it gave you the right number? But I wanted to show you how it translates it.
Okay, I'll do it.
So when you type 2.125 IN, then hit the tab to go to the next one or go to another one, it translated it to 0.09. See that?
Amazing. Ah, that's so great.
I don't know why these two is leaving it in inches. How funny. Oh, I think because you changed one ruler into inches, but this ruler is not. So this one is coming up in inches and this one is coming up in picas. But anyway, there you go. Say okay. But
Okay.
but so basically what Illustrator or InDesign, Adobe, what they do is as long as you write, you know, 2IN, even if the whole thing is in pixel, it translates what that means into picas, right? Because you told it what number you're doing, which is IN. So anyway, now you've added it. There it is. There's your bleed. And now, and she's a designer and she doesn't know about putting bleed. That's drives me. How's that possible? Tell her to take my class. Anyway, no, it's crazy. That's the most basic of, like, literally, I start the class, the first thing I do is I teach bleed. Okay, now be careful, zoom in a little bit more. You want to see the whole force, not in the other way. You want to see the whole, like, down, yeah, a bit higher so that we see the whole thing. Yeah, and
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah, because you need to do it in a way that's
Yeah?
no, I want here. I want to see that. Hold on. I want to see that and that. So make it as big enough that I can still see that. Yeah, so I can see both ends. Okay. Because you're going to have to expand it. Now, the shortcut's going to be grab grab your selection tool. There you have it grabbed. Okay. Grab one of the corners and now hold down and hold on. I think it's shift command. Let me I just do it with my fingers. I don't when I say it, I don't I'm opening for a second InDesign to remember what the shortcut was for what we're doing. Give me a second. It's so funny because I just do it without thinking and thus my brain I'm not remembering. So you do shift.
I think that's right. If we're trying to make it so that it scales uniformly,
Yeah. Option Alt.
it's
Right. It keeps telling me to do a generative expand. I don't want to.
no, that's I think
Yeah.
it's shift command, because my fingers do it too. Shift command.
There it is. Shift command. Yeah. I needed exactly. I'm like, look at my finger, see what I'm pressing. I'm pressing shift and command. Okay. So now grab it and do shift command on one corner and have it touch the bleed.
And then
And now you need to kind of reset it because because you don't want it to go over too much. Okay. Is that what it takes? You won't be able to get it proportional. You won't be able to get it to fill exactly because she cut it proportionally. When you're making it bigger, it's not proportional because you don't have that amount on the left side. You know what I mean? So you'll end up having too much or too little. Or in this case, who cares? It's just a teensy bit of distortion. You can distort it for a teensy weensy bit because it's so ghosted out. It doesn't matter. But there you go on that one. And then the green on the other side is too big.
oh yeah.
Just snap it in
That
again.
can pose a problem at the printers. I just had left that before.
Snap it into the bleed. You don't need any more. And it's just, it's the difference between a dirty file or a clean file. That's okay. It's not horrible. It's just, and then go to that green there. And this one doesn't need to be shift commanded anything because it's just green. Snap it to your bleeds. Okay. And then anywhere else.
No, this bottom page is actually, we're not printing that, so.
Okay. So there you go.
Ama-
Those are your bleeds, but I can't, first two things, right? When you create something with bleeds, it prints, it's more expensive to print because they need to put bit of. So if you use bleeds indiscriminately and they're worthwhile, then use them. That's fine. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have used them, but if you do use them, freaking know how to put the stuff in the bleed. I'm sorry. It's like, aha, she probably charges per hour, right? Or whatever, per job. I don't know the person, so I can say this. If I had any connection, I wouldn't, but yeah, you can't leave a bleed empty. That could have been a badly done job if you hadn't noticed. So yeah, there you go.
And
Um,
and to export it in a PDF.
yes, go ahead and share your screen again. I just stopped your share.
No, it's okay. I kind of got in my head about this today of like, then the bleeds don't show. So,
Wait, no, you can. Go ahead and say save. Not save, go to export. Export. Yeah, there. Mhm. And HPDF for print. Okay, give it an alternative name since you already did it once and whatever, test or class or whatever, or the right one.
okay.
Then say save. And over here, first of all, you also need to talk to the printer to find out what marks and bleeds and things to do. But you want to go there. So go ahead and go to that marks and bleeds and use document bleed settings.
Okay.
There you go. And then if you have all printers marks turned on, and basically you need to ask them what version they need, right? Because they might say that if they're a professional printer, they won't want a high quality print. This is typical of out of my printer in my house or out a digital printer, but an offset printer might want, click on that for a minute. You know, depending on the printer they have, they might say that you need to print in that or in that and that. So you need to find out, but say that they say use high quality print. You've modified it by adding bleed. Now go ahead and say export and you'll see. Why, is something missing? You just said okay to that, but that's not good.
No, I didn't. I didn't click anything. It just came up for a second.
Okay, that's interesting. And it says no errors down there, so I guess it was okay. That was weird. Okay, so now go find the file.
Oh, here, wait, let me, it just automatically came up here. It shared.
Let me stop.
I don't know why my stuff is, can you
So
see?
see how it has,
And, okay, great.
right? So this is the trim line. That's where it's gonna cut. And that's the bleed. That's where they have a bit of extra. So this is your this is your bleed, and there is the trim. And so hopefully they won't need this, but in case they do, there it is.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I sent them so many unnecessary things.
Oh, there you go. It's okay. Hey, that's why you're in this class. That's why you need to take it again next time. And you're learning. I just am surprised if this was not something you designed, that the printer gave it, the designer gave it to you, that it's not. That's like basic. But you know how when that's Moni said at the beginning how she sends it to the printer and the printer's always like, oh my God, your files are perfect. Most people send messed up files. They know how to fix things, but other times it's not their job and they might mess it up in the trying to fix it. And then you complain because it's not what you gave them. I was like, well, but I had to fix your mess, right? So it's like they don't want to put hands on it much because if they mess it up, then you complain to them. Not you, like the client complains. And I'm like, well, but the client gave them a bad file. They tried to fix it. So here, fix it yourself. You know what I mean? So I can see how in a photo they might have wanted to have you do it because they didn't want to mess up with that image. But yeah, the black, the white, the green, they can just throw it out and make it bigger. But photos, they probably wanted you to deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I don't know
It
if
could have as easily expanded it as we did, but if there's anything happening with a photo that's bad, then they're responsible, right? So they're like, you fix it. And as you saw, it's a matter of adding the bleed that wasn't even there. So you added it and now you expanded it and life is good.
great. Thank you so much. These are the
You
things
see the
that,
sense of relief in your face. It makes me feel very good to know that I helped for real. It would have
you
taken
know,
a while of me teaching for you to find a start when I talked about bleed, which I talked about bleeds at the beginning, but not how to add bleeds to something that was missing, right? Bleed. So there you go.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Welcome. Patricia, are you still there at all? No, Moni left. She was running out of power. So it's just you and I.
Yay.
Right.
Don't have to stick around. I definitely understand the needing to pack and things. So,
Thank you.
yes, feel free.
I'm going crazy. I cannot believe that I'm leaving soon and I'm so not ready. Oh, Jinsu, you were there. Okay, when I talked to you before you didn't. All right, well, hopefully, Jinsu, you learned a lot from real life problems, right?
Last
That we
class?
had with- Yeah.
Or
What's that?
this is the last class of the small class coming.
So this is our last class today. Next class starts in June. I don't have it exactly right. Next week on the Wednesday, you can sign up for the summer classes, and the summer classes start mid-June. I think digital design techniques is like maybe starting in July or late June. Okay,
Good.
I'll send an email with all the information, so you'll get that. Okay. But today is the final day of this class. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, go ahead and post some of this. Oh, before we go to the Padlet and see if you can download the file I sent you.
Great. I will do that. Ah, amazing. Yeah, I got a text during this class that said that they had requested another file. So this is and I was able to download it. Yeah, I see it. Logo trace.
Cool.
Thank
Well, there you go. All right. Well, then, good luck. And yeah, check in. Post the stuff. Post. It would be great if you could post a little screenshot of this that we just did and post it and say to add bleed, I had to go to page setup and change that. And but anyway, the inches that you found, how you can just translate it anyway, and the ruler change. So there's a lot there. There's a lot of content in that tiny little bit.
that was great. Did it.
Hey guys, so I will, if there's no other particular question, Jinsu, you have any questions for me or?
No. So everything ends at the end of this month for the spring.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we have, I believe, 1 or 2 week break and then the summer break starts. Yeah. My class is finishing today. It's shorter. It doesn't go to the end of the month. So, but there's other classes that are continuing. Mine
Okay.
are done. So I'm off.
What other class are you teaching? iLife?
Yeah, not now. I finished them all. But yeah, iLife, all the Mac classes, Photoshop, Illustrator. That's what I taught this session. I do
Would
the
you-
web classes and stuff, but this session we didn't do the web classes. So I do a newsletter, a magazine class that usually happens in the spring, but the lab where I teach them wasn't ready. So they'll hopefully we're gonna do them in the fall.
Okay, okay.
But
So
right
no,
now I'm done, which is why I'm leaving, because for the first time ever,
okay.
I'm finished.
All right.
So I'll see you guys, Jinsu for sure, because you've been back and forth in a lot of my classes. Everyone else, hopefully I'll see you again. Patricia, if you're back there, hope your thumb gets better. And I'll see you guys in 2 months or so.
Okay, all right.
Bye.
Bye.